Are we good? Okay. This is what happens. I have to stare at the camera to make a timestamp so I know where to edit this later. I'm not trying to creep on you guys. But I do think you're very attractive in a non-PC way. Tonight, on a very special Public Access Live, my guest is the legend, the master storyteller, the man whose names you've heard many times before on this very show. Tonight, my guest is TJ Clark, and that interview begins in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Public Access Live. Your window into my window, or what we like to call the show, What's New? TJ Clark, what's new?
What's new, man?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so happy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to interview you so fucking hard.
Do it, man. Do it. Well, that answers one of my questions. You talked about burning your Twitch down. I'm worried about
No.
Get you banned?
No. I had Tom King here.
Oh, okay. Oh.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good, man. What does a guy who works in a newsroom, apparently you compile video segments?
I'm working in the control room.
Okay, control room.
I'm newsroom adjacent.
The obvious question would be, a guy who works in a newsroom, single dad.
Yeah.
Of course you're looking for reasons to get out of the house.
Oh, yeah.
Why comedy?
Why comedy? Oh, man.
And why raise the bar so high for the rest of us?
Oh, man, I'm just doing me, dog. Why comedy? You know, can I tell a story? Can I just get into it with a story?
Anything. This is the thing about TJ. By the way, he's a great comedian, but he's a master storyteller.
No pressure, right?
No. This is what makes his comedy good. It's not like I get up there and I'm like, hey, I saw something funny the other day, and I'm going to tell you about it in 7 words. This guy knows how to frame it in a beautiful package and give it to people. So
this is the beautiful package.
Please, TJ Clark, the world.
Thank you. Hello, world. Our mutual friend, Peter Bedgood.
Yes.
A lot of Tulsa comedy corners meet up with Peter Bedgood. Peter was a friend. I'd worked with him I was a video guy. He was doing a show that show and tell. He was recording some stuff for show and tell.
I didn't know you were involved
on that. A little bit, like the one big stage show they had at the VFW, downstairs. I was back in the room, watching monitors, helping direct the.
I used to go to
video.
big band dances in that room.
Oh yeah, it's a good room for that.
Yeah,
for sure. So anyway, we were buddies, and then I ran into him at a record store one day, and he's telling me he's about to move. At the time to California, he was teaching a class. It was his last, it was his last
That's
class.
Right.
And he was passing it off to Ryan Green. But I'd always wanted to take his class. It's just comedy, something I've mulled over in my head. And he was I'm teaching one more. You should come out. And I was working doubles at the time at the News Factory, doing Sunday morning and night. And he was my class is on Sunday night. I'm I work Sunday nights. He was you do what, 5 at 6 and 10 news? I'm yeah. He's do you get a dinner break between the news? I'm yeah, between the 6 and 10. He's perfect. My class starts at 6:30. I was so as soon as the news ended, I would so I didn't have an out at that point. I was just okay, all right, I'll do it. So I signed up, and then the news would end. I would direct stories about murder and rape and the horrible things happening in town, and then I would hop in my car and drive down to the comedy parlor and walk into class. Always 10 minutes later, so Peter would be being handsome and charming and
drawing
and
drawing, not paying attention.
Yeah,
drawing the human beings.
And then we would go. And I still I was still I didn't know what I was doing. I was just going with it, right? And the first day of class, Peter mostly just stands up and is just making everyone fall in love with him, playing with his hair and just being devilishly handsome. Anyway,
nobody briefed you, did they? We do not give Peter that much respect on this show. We love Peter Bedgood, but as far as respect, no.
All right.
Stop it. You're gonna make him blush.
Something the homework assignment was just go home and write some jokes, right? And then next week you're gonna come back and you're gonna tell those jokes. It was just simple as that, So leading up to this point, I had been a single parent for a few years, living with my parents who were helping me raise the kids, living upstairs, working a job that just kind of bored me, But then I went home to write jokes, and stuff just flowed, And then we came back to class the next week, and everyone had like white cards with like a few jokes written on them,
Yeah.
little punchlines or premises or whole jokes, and they would read what they had, and then Peter would give them feedback, and then I went up there and I had like 3 pages like front and back, and I was so like nervous. I just like read off the page. I didn't even like do stand up. I just like held the mic and like read my jokes off the page, but like people were laughing. And it was a good time, and a lot of people were laughing, and it felt really good, like, because I just wrote about my life and like things I had been doing and living in just the past few years, and just kind of like let it all out, and it felt really great. And I just knew like immediately, I was like, wait a minute, like this is amazing. Like I can talk about this horrible shit that happened to me, and people laugh about it.
Right.
And I didn't feel bad. I felt like, oh wait, maybe I haven't been wasting my life the few years. I've got these cool ass perspectives and stories.
Before that, did you think that comedy was accessible, or did you think those were special people who had special background? Did you think any man could get up there on a stage and do it?
A couple years prior to this, a friend of mine from high school, Jeremy Westbrook, who lives in Oklahoma City still. I grew up in Oklahoma City, went to high school in Oklahoma City.
All right.
I was Facebook friends with Jeremy. His Facebook was
Northwest 23rd in the house.
Nice. I was a Southside boy myself. U.S. Grant. Southside OKC. Jeremy and I both went to OKC. So he was a Facebook friend, and I knew that he did comedy, but I'd never seen him. And he was in a contest in Oklahoma City at the time, and he kept progressing. And I hadn't really watched his videos yet, but I was like following his movement, and he ended up winning the contest, becoming like the funniest in Oklahoma City that year. And he posted his video. And I was like, okay, I gotta watch this. Like he posted his championship video, and I watched it, and I was laughing my ass off. And it was like, holy shit! Like, here's a dude I know since teenagers, and he was just like hilarious. And I'm like, oh my! Like there are local people I know are funny, and people in town do comedy. So that was just like, I didn't even like realize there was like a local comedy scene, until I saw Jeremy's video. So he's kind of my first entrance into like, oh, this is even something that like we could do,
Yeah.
So that's kind of when my general interest started. And I was a theater major. I was an actor and a writer like in college. So like when Tulsa Comedy Club was here several years ago, like I lived by it.
Oh yeah, out of 60,
over on 71st
Lewis.
and Lewis. Yeah. I lived really close to it. I thought about going to open mics there.
That's where Peter and Isaac got their start.
Yeah, that's what I hear. But I never went. Like it was like on Sunday nights, and at the time I was off Sunday nights, and I thought about going several times.
That place
never
was
did.
It was a cliche comedy club.
Oh, I bet.
It was a 2-drink minimum.
Yeah.
Ladies' night free entry kind of place. It was real cliche.
But I never went.
But Kathleen Madigan worked out of there.
I don't know who that
She
is.
did.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
you don't know who Kathleen Madigan is?
No.
She was one of the people that Schumer got accused of stealing.
Oh, okay.
Old school, but she used to work on her material in Tulsa. She'd come here because it's like nobody'd bug her.
Yeah.
Instead of doing an open mic on one of the coasts, she'd come to Tulsa Comedy Club and work her stuff
That's
out.
hilarious. Wow. And now it's like or I don't know what it is now, but for a while it was some bar that like had shootings at all the time.
Oh, on Lewis?
Yeah.
Oh my God! For a little while, that was the Painted Desert. There was a country bar in there on the other side.
The other side. The sign still says the other side, but is it open?
I don't think so. I went there when it was called the Galaxy.
Did
Around.
it have a space theme?
No, it was right after. Okay, the year after I got out of high school, 1990.
Yeah.
So I saw Rush and King's X at Driller Stadium when it was at
nice.
21st and Lewis, and then the after party was at the Galaxy.
Oh, okay.
So that was like the time period I was hanging out there before it became Tulsa Comedy Club.
King's X, that's a band I haven't heard of in a long time.
Dude, that was so good though. That was one of the best like as far as 3-piece bands go.
Yeah.
What do you got? You got ZZ Top, you got Rush. I mean, it's a very limited group and then you got King's X.
Where did they play? Where did you say?
I saw him play, the live show was at Driller Stadium at 21st and Yale.
Yeah.
An outdoor show.
Okay.
And then I also got to see him 25 years later on their North American kickoff of their last tour. Me and Steve Rice went down to BOK and saw Rush again. Nice. 25 years from the time we saw him the first time.
Very cool.
That was my high school thing.
Yeah.
Everybody else passed around Hendrix and Zeppelin, and if you were different, you might listen to Floyd. But the Rush kids, they were like off to the side with the Monty Python people. Oh, is that guy doing Cheese Sketch and Spirit of Radio? Get that guy out of here.
Stupid Rush fans.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I get it. Geddy Lee's voice is like nails on a chalkboard for most ladies. You can't find too many female Rush fans who are like, what is that guy's problem?
Yeah.
Are you Does music ever inspire your comedy? Like a mood that music sets, you're like, I'm in a good mood, I'm going to write a silly one.
Oh, yeah. No, music definitely does. I think rhythm in general plays a big a big part.
My fault for not turning it off.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I like. I've never been a musician, but I listen to tons of music.
Yeah.
And just the rhythm. Like I think a punchline is set up in a punchline. There's a rhythm to it.
For some reason, and I don't know why you were looking at Facebook on Christmas Day, but 2 years ago, my sister had brought me a turntable.
Yeah.
Just out of the blue, and I hadn't had one in years, and I've got tons of vinyl.
Yeah.
But I've been with that because you can't go out and buy a needle anymore. You have to buy a whole
record player. Yeah.
So she got me this thing. I remember getting on there like I'm gonna be very choice about my first album that I'm picking, and I picked a 1976 Glenn Miller. And the first person to respond was you, which is weird because I'm posting on Christmas. Nobody's going to see this for a day. Everybody's with their families.
Yeah.
Instant like either he likes Glenn Miller, or he's drinking on Christmas.
Or both. Yeah, a bit of both. Yeah, I'm sure the kids were playing with toys, and I was just.
What got you? So that was your way to. Did storytelling, was that a microphone ahead of comedy?
It was. I had done literally one storytelling event before I started doing comedy. Okay So, which is a storytelling event in Tulsa, a great one.
Yes. Premier one.
It was now it is built like they've really built an audience for it. And currently they do the performances at IDL, some are even at the PAC. But when I first got into it, they were performing at Enzo. Is that the little bar that's next to IDL? Like Tom Green kind of runs a whole corner of bars there.
I've only been to one story show, and it was at the IDL Ballroom. Okay, so it must have been like a final.
Yeah, probably. But they do them all there now. But about a few years before that, they used to do them at Enzo, which is a smaller bar. And I went one night. They had a theme, and the theme was busted. And I went to tell the story about a busted lock in a public bathroom. And this like magician that caught me taking a shit with my clothes off. So like I told that story, and it was the first thing I'd done on stage in a long, long time. Because I did theater when I was fresh out of college, and then like kids and life happened, and I just didn't do much on stage stuff anymore. So that storytelling event was the first thing I'd done on stage, and it was great. I didn't place; they picked like a first and second place. I didn't place, but the organizers came up to me afterwards and said I should come back, and that they had that I did well. But I didn't go back. I had a great time, but I didn't go back immediately. But then I think it was just several months later. It wasn't too long later that I started taking comedy. But so I did one storytelling show before I got into comedy. So I was slowly starting to
you had a style.
Fate was pushing me in.
You had a style though before you hit the mic. Yeah. Like a lot of us had when we hit the Peter's class, we didn't have a clue. We were like, I don't know what kind of because. There's a term, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this term, it might just be used in comedy, it's tracing. And it's basically you're not ripping off the jokes of someone that you admire, but you might admire their pace, their rhythm, their delivery, or their audience. You might like, oh, well, this guy has a clean audience, he has a silly audience. And you trace your style after that particular person, whereas you already had a direction, kind of, maybe, where you're like, I can do this in long form, I can come up with one premise and stuff it full of punchlines, and that's going to be my gig.
Man, I don't know if this is a thing to brag about necessarily, but I am a horrible comedy fan. I never watched comedy. I watched, like, the big names, like, I watched, like, Louis C.K. specials, and then, like, Dave Chappelle specials, and then, Jim Gaffigan. Like, there were a few specials I would watch here and there. Chris Rock. My mom and I would watch like Last Comic Standing every now and then, like some summers.
So you don't trace at all.
But I wasn't like a comedy fan. I just didn't watch it that often. I always appreciated it when I did watch it. But so I would say that I went in like just without any influences. I just went in and was just myself. I had these things I wanted to say, and I told them in the way.
When you're writing a joke, though, do you hear? Or the way you want to deliver a punchline, do you hear like someone else's, like, oh, this is the way this guy would do it with this cadence or this kind of growl, no?
I just write it how I hear it in my head,
Fantastic.
I just have like a internal dialogue. I'm an only child, so I spend a lot of time talking to myself, so maybe that's it.
That doesn't happen to his only kids. I've got a sister, I talk. Nobody's ever called you this. which is going to sound bad that I've prefaced it like that. But nobody's ever called you this, but would you find it complimentary to be called a male Jill Johnson? Because as far as storytelling goes, Jill has a gift like you have. She can't tell you what time it is without telling you how the watch is made.
Yeah.
But it's fabulous.
Yeah.
And her anecdotes and her experiences and the way she frames them. I mean, is that?
I think Jill is. I think she's much more natural and like organic than I am. I always feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, Jill could correct me, but whenever I see Jill perform, I always feel like she's literally just telling you a story, right?
Just talking to
She's
you.
just like telling you a memory.
And you don't feel that way?
She doesn't it feels like to me that she doesn't write it out. Like it's just,
Right.
it's written in her head, because she lived it, and she's just a great natural storyteller. So I think when she tells stories, it comes out. My stuff, I like to write it before a little bit, and I'll write it how it is in my head.
Do you do a lot of rewriting?
I do a little bit, yeah. Like sometimes for time, and sometimes just for flow.
Let me just
and
ask.
kind of like you mentioned, like when I'm doing like storytelling, they give you like 5 minutes. So and that's where I think I feel like it's music, because like basically it's like here's a 5-minute song. So I do there's little verses and there's little chorus. I try to like
A bridge.
stack it and make sure like I have a beginning, a middle, and end, but make sure that I have a really good intro and a really solid outro, and if I have some joke, I just try to mix it up and like have the so there's some structure to it. Like I like to structure it out.
Just so I know, not the audience so much. This is just a personal question. Phloem penis. Is that a rewrite, or is that the way it popped out?
Phloem was one of the things that was one of the non-authentic things I never really did. It was just a silly.
Right. I mean, I do
silly
hyperbole
story.
too. But.
Yeah. But that was one of the first things I wrote for the comedy class for Peter, and I think I pretty much always performed it the way I wrote it the first time.
Yeah.
Like I think over time doing it a few times and finding out what was funny and what wasn't funny, I probably trimmed it a little bit. But the Phloem was one that pretty much was like performed as I wrote it every time. Yeah. And it worked well. Like
Yeah,
right out of
it
the
did.
gate. Yeah, I haven't done that in a while. I should do that. It's a real silly one. I'm doing more silly stuff now, so it
I am
works.
too. Seriously, man, like
Yeah.
like the bit I'm working on, it's not. There's no.
It's good to be silly right now.
Seeing how you guys don't really know, you guys never seen me perform on stage, so I can tell you. I'm writing a bit right now about a friend of mine who doesn't exist, who becomes a department store Santa. Has no basis in truth at all. Has none. But it was just a funny premise. It's like, I'm never going to do a sketch show where I can act this out and have friends and people that I can count on and trust to be there
Yeah.
to, rehearse and put on a show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it into a bit and talk about it on stage.
Yeah.
It's actually a sketch idea I have in my head, but that's
Nice.
kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I feel that too. And the film was like, it was based in reality, because I was like, at the time I was dabbling in like online dating, and I was just like meeting girls online and chatting with them, and they would ask for dick pics and things, and like I wasn't comfortable doing that, so I would like think of like other creative alternatives. So like the Phloem thing was just something I thought of, like making a mold of yourself using Phloem and chocolate, just like some arts and crafts. Like I won't send you a dick pic, but I'll send you this like artistic representation of my penis. So those are like things I was actually like thinking about in reality, and I never actually did it. But I was like, oh, but this will work as a joke,
Did you get blindsided when you became a single father?
At the time, yeah, it came out of nowhere. Not like, it was a few months notice,
But
but essentially, it was something
it was life changing in a
Oh,
moment.
yeah. I was very much just like fun dad. Like, I would come home from work, and hang out with the kids and help out then. But no, I wasn't like.
But your life changing
like-
direction so drastically and so quickly
Yeah.
that it opened the door for other things too. It's like, well, I'm not stuck in this. I can do anything right now.
Oh yeah, in a way, like moving
Right.
in with my parents was like was bittersweet. Like
Humbling.
the split happened in the summertime. I lived on my own for like a full month. My mom was still coming over a lot. My lease was about to be up, so she was like, "You want to move in with us?" And I was doing it more to like save her from driving over so much. And it was just like short, like the timing worked out. And I planned on only being there for a few months and then getting my own place, but ended up staying there as one does. But not only did they help out with the kids, but I would never be able to do comedy if it wasn't for my parents like being there to watch the kids.
Like there's
So
some
oddly enough, like it did open up. Like
there's some people that are really good about taking your excuses away from you.
yeah.
Like I was like, I'd like to try stand-up comedy.
Yeah,
Sunday.
that's
my
what
wife,
happened with Peter that day, yeah.
my wife's like, well, how much is the comedy class? And I told her, and she's like,
Yeah.
I'll pay for it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh crap. I can't ever go, well,
Yeah.
somebody's putting me in there now.
My girlfriend is the same way, and it's great because you just mentioned like wanting to do something, and she's like,
Yeah, why aren't you doing
tear
it?
down the barriers to make sure I get a chance to. It's
Good
it's
people,
great.
man.
Yeah, right.
Did you get a chance to nerd out or anything, or is it basically what your kids are you into? What your kids nerd out on? Like if they're into a certain movie or a certain game, or do you get an opportunity to do your stuff, or you share the nerding?
For a while when they were younger, it was definitely like I just were into what they were into, But now that they're teens, they don't always want to like play games with dad,
I got one driving and one on the PlayStation right now, pal.
Oh wow! I've got one in college and one about to turn 16 and one about to turn 13. Scout turns 13 next month. I'll have all teenagers.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you know how that is. But yeah, for a while, video games I only would play what Beckett would bring home, So
Did you pal up with the son? Because it's like, all right, it's us against the girls.
well, we share a room, he and I. Like he's my son, but he's also my roommate because we have the upstairs at our house.
Right.
And there's only 2 bedrooms and a bathroom up there, so my girls are in one room. And then Beckett and I, my son, were in the other room.
Do you ever hear the springs on the mattress of the bed next to you? You're like, cut it out!
No. No, we're pretty discreet and shy for the most part. Yeah.
We've learned how to breathe real quietly.
Yeah. It's been challenging, man.
I bet, but I mean, you have one of the no matter what bad situation, because we used to talk in the green room at the parlor, and no matter what the topic of conversation was, personally, you would say things that your heart would break. You'd be like, I feel this guy's been through shit, right?
Yeah.
And you would still do it with that face, like it's like you're unflappable. It's
Thanks,
inspiring, man.
Thank you.
What-
I've never been one to like stress out big time. I definitely do, and there's things I care about a lot that I'll stress out about. But the life stuff that happens like that, it was just like I didn't have time. I had to get to it.
What? College kids, you look like a baby. Thank you, Mojo. Apparently you're baby face. You're not allowed to have college-age kids.
I know, it's surprising. I started young, though. I was young when I had her. Not like teenage young, but I was like 22 when I had her,
Okay. Yeah, I was like 30 for our first one.
All right.
My wife was 20.
All right.
Her mother had a nice shotgun. Her dad had a very nice shotgun. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, you heard me laughing.
If you guys knock over my lighting,
Yeah.
I'm going to sell you to a Korean family. Hey, down. All right. Hey, enough already. He loves you. What are some of the things that you do like to nerd out on? Do you like games, board or digital? Do you like movies? Do you like the graphic novel?
Yeah. I'm a huge pop culture junkie, though I definitely go in phases because time is limited, So I definitely went through a comic book phase, and then I went through a little video game phase. Music was a huge. Music has always been in my life. I've always been a music fan, varying degrees of obsession. Like new music is my thing. So for a long time, I would just like when Spotify first came out, it was just like, oh no, and I just spent all day just always listening to Spotify, and then making playlists was my thing, and finding new music was my thing. So like every month, I would just like scour all the new releases that came out that month and make a big like banked playlist of all the new releases, and then I would like pick my favorites of those and make a like songs of the month playlist, and then I would like do that every month, and then I would compile the monthly songs and make a yearly songs and then pick from those like for my songs of the year. And I just like and I had followers and built up some followers, and then I made a soundtrack for the Wolf of Wall Street, like the soundtrack that as it came out had just like a few songs, but the movie had a bunch of songs, so I kind of made like a complete playlist of all the music in the Wolf of Wall Street, and that got popular, and like Spotify kind of like promoted it, and I got like tons of followers. So then I felt like some like music curator because I had like a bunch of followers. So I feel like I had like to keep it up, So for a while,
I'm the lexicon of music.
Yeah, and that's something. And music curating was something I was real passionate about for a while.
Yeah,
I got friends that were in theater and worked in film. And friends would come to me for like, hey, can you help me pick out some shows for this play or pre-show music? I helped a lady with her like, she did a summer mime camp, and I would do like find mime music, and she liked to do traditional mime, but she liked to do like, what would mimes do mime to like today? What's the contemporary mime music? So that was always like fun to figure out, like find cool wacky instrumentals that a mime could mime to. Like
every time you say mime over and over again, the only thing that popped in my head is Calliope.
Yeah, and there was some of that. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Do you think you could score?
No, I'm
like a movie
I'm
or
real bad at music. I could pick like popular songs. Like I'd love to do.
Well,
like,
I mean, look at like
music supervising. They call it
Cameron Crowe's movies. He lets
Yes.
Nancy Wilson, his wife, was the guitarist for Heart.
Yeah.
And she arranges the music for his movies, and they really add the mood to every Cameron Crowe film.
sure, yeah.
Do you think you could do that?
I think I could tell a musician what I wanted for a scene, but I couldn't like compose anything.
No, not compose, but like grab a song here, grab
yeah, no, I'd love to do that.
to do a score or soundtrack.
Oh yeah, I'd love it. I do that all the time. But sometimes with like I'll just recreate a movie or fictional movies. Some of my playlists I'll call soundtracks because they're like a soundtrack to a movie in my head. You know, I made playlists. A friend of mine was going to do a Breakfast Club, a stage adaptation of the Breakfast Club, and I made playlists for each character, just like capturing the essence of each, like, which is a good way to organize because the character types are so strong in Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
it's easy to pick like playlists that they would listen to, like current music, you know, like to modernize
what with the
it.
modern?
Yeah,
that's a good.
So stuff like that is like what I would get into and help people with.
What people do on stage blows me away. Like high school productions used to be so weak.
Oh, yeah.
One of my daughter's friends was in Wizard of Oz. They were all mic'd up. There were laser lights. And it's like, wait, used to in theater,
Yes.
you had to learn how to project your voice to reach the guy in the back row. Now they're all mic'd.
Yeah, my kids go to Union, and my daughter was in theater. My oldest daughter, they big productions.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We were doing like Space Cadet Bob of the 21st century. Now it's like.
That people like flying up on like flying. Like,
Landry was talking when he was doing theater. They did Xanadu on stage, roller skates on a conveyor belt, and they were like, I was like, what?
Did you see it? It floated around the internet maybe a year ago. Some high school somewhere did Alien, the movie Alien. They like adapted it to the stage. The set pieces were like amazing. Like it was amazing. It was so cool that like
you can do a lot
some
with
teacher
foam.
let them do Alien on stage.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Clark. How do you keep such a great outlook? Thank you so much.
How do I keep? It's just my nature, I think. You know.
There's some things you can't fake, man. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like people who've been through a lot of trouble who still have a good disposition, you can't fake that.
Yeah.
You can for a day or two.
Sure.
And be like, everything's fine. But after a while, you know, they're like, how are you today? You're like, I'm tired of telling you everything's fine when it's not. Let me tell you what's really going on.
Yeah.
You know,
that happens. I usually keep it to a small circle, you know.
Good.
Which is helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean.
But yeah, it's just my general disposition. I've always been involved in like live stuff, like live theater, and then I work in TV and comedy, so I've always been like ready for like shit to go down, you know. But you always have to keep your cool to like. I always feel like to do well on like when things are live because so many things could go wrong. So I've just always stayed chill, you know.
I'm going to lose the chat feed on my iPad if I click on that link because it's going to switch me to something else and then chat will stop. But apparently somebody sent a link to Alien on Stage.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, Wasteland Warrior.
You should click it because it's dope.
Well, I need
well,
this
not
to,
you, but the people watching.
Yes.
When we're done, of course.
Go there.
Yeah.
Let's see. So who's good in new music? What is the next big thing?
This is what I've been into lately.
Mr. Lexicon of Curator of the Music Museum.
I'm on such a huge hip-hop phase right now.
Are you?
And it's all because of the HBO show Euphoria.
Okay.
Mostly.
Old or new?
It's new. Euphoria like just ended like a couple months ago.
No, the hip-hop.
Oh, the hip-hop's new and old, but mostly new on that. And it's just got this like great atmosphere of just like almost just like druggy hip-hop, you know, just like real, just
you're
trippy acid hip-hop, if you want, you know.
You're not as old as me.
41.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was born in 71.
Judge as you will. Okay, yeah, 78 is when I was.
Okay, but I mean, like when you hear new music, because they're tired of me rolling my eyes at every movie and new song that comes out. Because like Bruno Mars, Uptown Funk, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, I'm hearing Jungle Love by Morris Day.
Yeah.
And then I see his stage show, and I'm like, he's doing Jungle Love.
Yeah,
only he's rewritten the words. And when
Yeah.
you've been around the block so many times that the dogs don't even bark anymore, you see things, and you're like, that's not original.
Oh,
Sure.
I've
seen that before 30 years ago in a different form. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Is there anything that you see that you're like, that's different and that's new, and I like that?
I think that's why I'm leaning into hip hop. I think hip hop is still in a great like experimental phase right now. Yeah, and I've been listening to a lot of '90s hip hop too. I'm working on a '90s playlist right now, 90s hip hop. So
Okay.
going back and listening to a lot of 90s stuff, and then listening to new stuff, like I love the evolution, how it's sampling like was a huge thing for so long, and it still is now. But there's more like
Laws against it.
producers, like like there's like producers who are treated just as respectful as the artists, because the producers who come up with the tracks, and the tracks are so like experimental, and there's like mostly electronic music, but they just there's a lot of minimalist stuff going on. I don't know. It reminds me of.
Do you think we're losing some of our skill sets though? Because a lot of that's digitally compiled on PC and samples,
sure.
and hey, I don't have to have a real guy on an 808 over here. I have an 808 on my, and I can just make beats and do samples of this and
I
that.
think it's the creature of the internet too. Of people just like sharing files and then remixing, doing remixes.
But people like Quincy, who know how to bring in the horns and the strings instead of a sample of horns and strings.
Yeah. And you still
those guys are. We're not.
He gets a lot of shit, but Kanye does that, dude. Kanye is a good
composer.
Present day Quincy. If Kanye doesn't know how to compose it, Kanye knows who to hire to compose it. That's why he reminds me of Quincy John. I know Quincy composed his own stuff.
But I don't.
He's got a.
I haven't heard this. I figure everybody was digital these days. Kanye.
I don't know if he writes string music or whatever, but he's used strings in his music. He's used John Bryan. Do you know the
Yes.
John Bryan produced or co-produced one of Kanye's albums.
John Bryan did the soundtrack for
a lot of stuff.
Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
Yeah,
real moody stuff. And it's amazing.
A lot of the Paul Thomas Anderson stuff. Before he started working with Johnny Greenwood, he did some stuff with John Bryan. Yeah. Oh, God. But yeah, so John Bryan worked with Kanye, and there's a lot of strings on that album, and it's.
I'm not a fan of
guys out there.
I'm not a fan of hip hop. You guys know this.
Yeah.
I like soul. I like soul music.
Soul's great too. Yeah.
I do like soul. I like Otis and Sam Cooke and that kind of stuff.
I
but
like it too, man.
It sounds like if you guys want to do some searching for it, sounds like Kanye would be the guy I would endorse right now. Of all of them, I'd be that guy's.
I can see you hanging with Kanye, man. You would do
because we're both we're both nuts and wouldn't mind being around Trump.
yeah. He's a character, man. He's unique.
Let's see. So you're doing the hip hop thing. That was what's the next big thing
This
in
is
music?
kind of what I'm into right now. Just I'm sure there's great rock music and
Are your
and
kids?
great other.
Do your kids ride the music train a little bit, or their own music train?
Oh,
Any of them into
their
K-pop?
Their own K-pop. They know some K-pop, but I don't think they're huge fans of it. My oldest daughter, she and I love. For a while, we would listen to some similar stuff, and trade songs.
Tommy, you and your daughter sharing the Who?
No, not the Who,
oh.
but because I like new stuff, and she likes new pop music, like electronic kind of pop music. So my oldest and I, we kind of got along there. But my son, he was never into music. He's huge into video games, and he knew all the composers of all the video game music. So he loves music, but a whole different genre. Recently, though, as he's gotten older, he has got into contemporary music. So he knows. He'll surprise me all the time. We'll be in the car, and he's just got a mind where he just soaks it up, and he'll be singing along to a song that he's only heard one time. So he's got a musical fan in him, but he's definitely making his own journey and liking what he likes, and he's not influenced by anything. And then my youngest Scout, she refuses to tell me what she listens to because she's doesn't want me to know. She doesn't want me to say whether I like it or not.
Have your kids learned that there's some things that they don't want to tell you because they're afraid it'll make it to stage?
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Or do they preface it by going, "Hey"? Or did they preface it by saying, "Dad, don't mention this"?
Yeah, occasionally they will. They'll be like, "Just don't put that. Please don't put that on Facebook." I'll respect them, of course. I've paid Scout before to let me put stuff on there.
I've noticed sometimes it says a name. It'll say, because you do everything like a screenplay.
Yeah.
In lines, it'll be me, and then it'll say Scout, your
Yeah.
daughter. And then sometimes it just says daughter, which I assume is you want to tell a story, but they said, don't mention my name.
Yeah, probably.
So you're like...
Usually I mention names, but every now and then. My son's real shy. He doesn't like me posting about him. I'll respect that. Every now and then he'll say something, and I'll say, can I put that on Facebook? And he's okay with it. But yeah, at some point they just all gave up and was just like, just do.
Ooh, Mojo, good question. So if you had a few hours to do whatever you wanted, and money was no object,
oh man,
what would you do?
Money was no object?
Yeah, just a couple hours.
A couple hours and money is no object.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even need that much money if I just had a few hours.
Sleep. I'm a dad who works 2 jobs.
Yeah, right?
2 hours of sleep.
Yeah,
Tinfoil, the windows.
anything I want. Yeah, just like just hanging out with my girlfriend, listening to music.
Yeah. What's she into?
She loves comedy. We met through comedy.
No, I mean music-wise.
Music-wise?
Do you guys
She
argue
likes
over the
hip-hop.
channel? Oh, okay,
No.
good. Good.
Yeah, that's yeah, she likes hip hop. She likes all kinds of stuff. Incubus is her favorite band. We're seeing them when they play Oklahoma City
Oh, okay.
in a few months.
Indoor, outdoor?
It's indoor, I
No,
believe.
2 months, yeah, would be.
Yeah, it's indoor.
The Oklahoma
I just have
City
the
Zoo shows
Criterion,
are
I think.
amazing.
Oh,
I saw
been to one
Flaming
of
Lips
those.
at the zoo.
Well, that's different because this is Flaming Lips.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was like a religious experience.
Oh, yeah, well,
The
it's 'cause of the
UFO
film,
landing.
yeah, that's
He's got
different.
one whole choir section dressed like Santa Clauses,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
other
yeah.
one are all dressed like alien autopsy people. And then they
Yeah.
come out off the UFO and it's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, I don't even see any cables. Where did that UFO come from? You know, it's like a
Yeah.
massive stage prop.
Yeah.
What a show, dude.
Yeah, dude. This is the Flaming Lips. They put on a good show. I've seen not good shows at the Zoo Amphitheater.
Really?
And I hated that place.
Really?
Oh, man, it was just, I went during the summertime, and I'm large, and, like, there was no parking, and you're just walking, and it's hot, and then you gotta sit in the grass, and it's hot, and you're just sweating constantly, and it's hot.
I never liked going there. I always liked the Omni next door. It's a perfect place you want to go if you're a flat earther. Every experiment they have in there is trying to prove rotation and curve.
That's true. It really is.
Like, did you guys know I was coming? BS, man. It's conspiracy, yo. Let's see. Oh, that's not a question. That's my Nightbot talking. This is kind of like there's a couple of questions I've heard people ask about in the past in interviews that I've just always wondered other people's response to.
Okay.
So I'm going to shoot these at you right now.
Do it.
I haven't done this yet to other people. If there is a heaven, and you go there, what are you hoping God will say to you when you get there?
You going James Lipton
Yep.
on me? You're going Actor Studio?
Absolutely. I've always
recognize
wondered, like, I've heard one good answer to that question in my lifetime.
Yeah. Ugh, that's a tough one, man. I've never thought about it.
And never mind. It's not important. So, what would you have to achieve?
I guess I'd want him to be like, if he's real, I want him to be like, come on in.
The only good answer I've ever heard to that question, I heard one guy go, I just want him to say you're forgiven.
Oh, yeah. That's
And I was
that's
like,
deep. Yeah.
Boy. Yeah, I don't know
I'll
if
probably be like, forgive him for what? Like, what I did?
yeah, well, I'm a good guy.
Like, you just need to let me in. Yeah. I didn't believe in you for most of my life, but come on.
What would you have to achieve in comedy? What like line would you have to cross for you to know that you've made it?
Man, I've thought about this.
Have you?
Lately.
Okay. Like a show at Cane's, headlining it, because you've performed festivals and you've done storytelling, and in our community, you are probably the most respected.
Oh, thank you.
Well, funny is subjective. I think you're hilarious, but some people might not think you're funny.
Yeah,
but you
sure.
have in this community the respect. Everybody that's sat in that chair has mentioned you by name.
That's great.
As a force in this town.
Oh,
But what would it take in your mind to ascend or?
at one point, I was just wanting it to be my job. I was just.
Oh, if it paid the bills?
Yeah, like I just wanted to be able to quit my day job and just do comedy. That was kind of like the goal,
Okay.
And I was fine being a road comic or whatever I needed to do to just be able to quit.
A journeyman, a
But I'm
grinder.
not sure. I'm not even sure if I want that anymore. Like the road comic life, being 40 already.
Comedy
I just
condo
don't
every
know if
week.
that's the path I want. Like
Right.
I like my family and I like my girlfriend and I don't want to be on the road all the time. Like I love doing comedy and I love new audiences and I love traveling, but that road comic life, dude, it's tough. Like it's rough. I would do it. I would do it for a year. I would do it every now and then. But I kind of want to just like. I don't know what. That's why I've been thinking about that lately because I think my goal has changed, but I don't
Do
even
you
know
want to keep chasing?
what my end game is. Yeah, I do. I want to create. I want to keep doing comedy. I want to do storytelling. I want to do film. I want to do just some stage stuff. I still think of theater ideas every now and then.
For the film, in front of or behind the camera?
Both.
Both?
Yeah, man.
Do you
Why
have-
not both?
Do you have screenplay ideas? I mean, do you want to be a
yeah.
writer? Do you want to direct?
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah, both. Man, I love film. I didn't mention earlier, but like I nerd out on film. Film's been a huge one in my life always. Film and music have been the two big ones that I've been a huge.
What's a
fanboy
movie
of.
that if it comes on, if you see like 3 seconds of it on TV, you're sitting down popping the popcorn, you can't walk away from it? Do you have one?
Do I have one? No. Man, first of all, I don't watch a whole lot of TV, so I don't just stumble upon movies very often.
It's
But theoretically, there's movies I feel like watching a lot. Recent films, Inherent Vice is one that I just like felt compelled to watch.
Which one?
Every now and then. Inherent Vice. It's a.
I don't know that one.
It's got Joaquin Phoenix in it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
based on a forgive me if I'm butchering his last name, Pynchon, novelist.
Oh.
Wacky.
Pinchot?
I don't know, man.
Huh.
But anyway, it's like it takes place in the 70s, like early 70s, like hippie stuff is dying, like Charles Manson has been out there, like, you know, like everyone's worried about, like, you know, hippies getting murdered and all this stuff. So it's very, like, paranoia driven, but he's also like this detective, like trying to solve, like his like past lover. Anyway, it's very much like a film noir type of thing, but like takes place in like early 70s, like drug culture, like hippies coming out of like being addicted to smack and other things, and man, it's just got this great vibe, and it's a little otherworldly, you know.
Do you have any passions for rotten movies? Like real
shitty movies?
like Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. Kind of
Oh, okay.
like Steve Martin is just silly. I mean, it's
dude,
basically shot in black and white, and they tried to they patched it together with old movies where they had like him in a scene
Yeah.
with Humphrey Bogart, and you know. I mean, is there like some real like snoozers out there? You're like, I really like that movie. I don't want to tell anybody,
snoozers. I don't know, there's probably things my kids would consider them snoozers.
No.
But I mean, Strange Brew is silly to me. I love Strange Brew.
I love that. The
It's also
McKenzie
really
brothers.
smart, too.
Yeah.
So it's hard to call that like a dumb movie.
Me and my
I think
sister love
Strange
that.
Brew is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom used to
Don't make
like
me
when
laugh,
watched it
eh?
when I was a kid. There's so many great quotable lines from it. Like my whole family would quote it. It was great. But yeah, to go back, yeah, I'd love to write, direct, act. I want to do it all, man.
Do you cook? And if this is how this goes. What we generally the direction goes. We come in. I try to keep it. If you're a comedian, I try to talk about comedy. If you're a
Yeah.
musician, try to talk about music.
Sure.
Or if you like both, we try to talk about that.
Yeah.
And then, hey, what do you like to nerd out on? Because this is a gaming platform. People like to hear about games or
Yeah.
comic books or movies. And then generally, someone will always divert the conversation to what we lovingly refer to as food porn, because everybody likes to talk about food. So, I got a leak so bad I can taste today. Thank you. That's a good one.
That is a good one.
I love a good Strange Brew. So, do you cook, and if yes, what is the specialty? So I'm going to change that question because that's kind of bland. So what we're going to do is 2 questions.
Okay.
Question number 1, what would you cook to treat yourself? And question number 2, what would you cook if you're trying to impress a lady?
I'm real shitty at cooking, dude.
Oh, so you're...
So I would, yeah.
This is how I cook.
Treating myself means like doing
What do you like to-
DoorDash.
What do you like to? What do you like from local fare?
Man,
Are you typical
so
Oklahoma? Are you a barbecue guy?
I do love barbecue.
Do you?
Yeah, I love barbecue, but not like ribs. I'm not a fan of ribs.
Hate 'em.
I love.
I like lean meat, which throws me out of most barbecue
Yeah,
joints.
I love chopped brisket and bologna and hot links. Like anything.
You a rib
like that.
cribber?
Sometimes, occasionally, yeah. I've been known to fuck with some rib crib.
Okay, so if that's an occasionally, then you have a place. Where do you go?
place?
Albert Cheese?
Um,
Naughty Pie? What you got going on, man?
Well, I work over on Brookside.
okay.
So Elmer's,
Elmer's is
the
there.
Bad Witch, man. That's the classic. For
Elmer
me.
be bad.
Yeah.
So you get out on Southwest Boulevard and get out on Smoky Mountain or anything?
No, I used to have Naughty Pine back in the day.
Yeah, I'm Broken
It's
Arrow.
original. No, I like the one that burned down over on Charles Page or close
Oh,
to
I thought
Charles
you were talking about
Page.
one like at 71st and Lynn Lane.
No, the Naughty Pine over like northwest Tulsa.
Over by the old Whataburger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah.
Ish. Yeah.
There's a long time ago there was a place, I don't know if it's still there.
Did you miss
called
any-
like Big Daddy's over on like 11th and Garnett. Like,
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
always is that still there?
I don't know if it's there. My grandma
it's
used to
good.
live around 11th to Garnett.
Yeah. I lived at 4th and Garnett for several years.
Because we used to go, because there's still a couple of great motor courts over there that I wish they'd restore. They have like the check-in house, and then it has like the little cabins and a little court in the back. Yeah. There's still a couple over there by some of the meth hotels, but I'm serious.
Yeah, there's some charming, like untouched places over there.
Yeah, and it's on the it's on the end of Route 66. It's not close enough to Cherry Street for people to like give a crap.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah, it's a different world over there.
What do you miss? Do you miss any food places in OKC?
In OKC, yeah, dude.
Like when you go back, you like when we go, we're eating here.
Yeah. There's 2 that come to mind.
Okay.
And I think they're both. One is closed-ish. Coit's hot dogs. Coit's was kind of like Sonic, like the little drive-through. Like,
is that on Britain? Like Britain in May?
Man, I was a kid when I went. I don't even remember where. There was a few locations though.
That sounds like a place.
And I hear now that they I think all the the main locations have closed, but I think they have like a food truck or something maybe. So I hear rumors that they're still out there. If anyone knows, let me know. But Coit's use Schwab's chili and wieners, and sometimes you can find that at like Reese's and local grocery stores. So we'll make homemade Coit's every now and then at home. The other one I really miss is Lousy Tacos. It's called Los Tacos, but after the Los, it had a cactus that looked like a Y, and we always called it Lousy Tacos. And it was this place on the south side that was just delicious. And it has moved somewhere. My parents have been there. I haven't been there yet, so I'm excited to try it. And my girlfriend lives in Oklahoma City, and I was down there a lot when we first started dating. Now she's up in Tulsa a lot, but I never had a chance to try it when I was in Oklahoma City a lot.
I used to go there like 4 or 5 times a year, because right before the Moore exit on that side of town, there was a place called Starbucks, and it was a pool hall, but it was also a foosball hall, and the Oklahoma State Championships were there, and the Halloween Open, and the New Year's Open, and every year we would go to Oklahoma City to play tournament foosball.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, at one time I was 4th in the world in foosball.
What? Really?
That's nothing you can ever put on a resume.
No,
like, I was really good at something that doesn't matter.
That sounds great. Like you can legit say that. It's not even like a.
I took 4th at the World Championships in Dallas, Texas, in 1994.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
You should start with that.
It's actually got me a lot of poon.
I bet.
Never.
You're good with those hand movements.
Will you tell us about a time that you laughed really hard?
Time I laughed really hard. Man, all the time.
Thank you for that question. By the way, the screen name is Psh. Thank you for that. Thank you for that question. Psh. It's PSHHHH.
That's a good name.
That would be Psh, right?
Psh, yeah.
Thank you. I don't want to mispronounce your name, but as far as I can tell, thank you for the question. Psh.
I wish I could think of a specific joke. All the time at First Shop on Monday nights, people have me just rolling.
I do. You know, this. I've noticed that, like at shows.
Yeah.
Because I was a fan of comedy before I started doing comedy.
Yeah.
So I go and I laugh, but most of the other comedians in the room are either on their phones, going over their set list, or just.
Yeah.
You know, like you're at a comedy show, right?
Yeah.
Like most people came to laugh. No, I'm going on and I'm up next. I'm going over my set in my head. It's like, well, what?
Like I said, sometimes people get nervous or in their head, or sometimes they're.
But you laugh. You enjoy the other comedians. I do too.
Yeah,
I have a good time.
People do. And First Shop's a good vibe. Most of the time at First Shop, people are into it. Sometimes, depending on the night, sometimes the vibe's weird and it's a little harder to pull out laughs and wake everybody up. But most of the times, it's good hearty laughs coming from there. Probably has to do with weed being legal, and certainly help the hearty laughs.
I'm working on a bit about that too, because I have this thing where I'm like, all right, suck it up, sissy. Things aren't that bad. You need to pull yourself up better, but and just for whiny people in general. Oh, I had a bad day. I'm the opposite of that guy.
Yeah.
Guess what? All those people have their cards because hypochondriacs got their cards right away. So now I have to buy from those guys. Not happy.
Nice.
Not at all. Have you ever tried British food such as black pudding, haggis, or spotted dick, etc.?
None of those. I haven't tried any of those.
Did you go to Scottish Festival and eat?
I've never been to Scottish Festival. There used to be.
Did you slip out the White Lion?
Yeah, I've been to White Lion before.
Boom.
Yeah,
Petty's place is awesome. Lion.
There was another British restaurant for a while too. A little more midtown. I wish I could think the name of it right now.
Well, there was that like that franchise joint out by the Baker Street. It was
Oh,
open
yeah,
for a while, but
no.
it wasn't. Betty's place is like the legit. She's from Liverpool. Her place is legit. The front doors on her place say Harvest Mouse. They don't even say White Lion.
Oh yeah.
The front doors on her place
Yeah.
came from the Harvest Mouse in Liverpool, which was the pub her dad used to frequent.
Okay.
And when they tore it down, she got their front doors.
Okay, so it's in her blood. Yeah.
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 Oh yeah. She's
Yeah, I love
amazing.
White Lion. It's been a while since I've gone there. I need to go back.
Have a pint of old golden hen and a meat pie. Let's go.
I love cottage pie and shepherd's pie. And all that stuff.
We need to go anyway. That was my boy's Chris's favorite place.
Nice, excellent.
Did you? Because I know you were one of the people when you passed that were playing ELO that day. Did you come across a gym? You're like, I've heard them so many times, but I forgot about this song. I really did. One of them get you? Because I had one of them hit me.
Every time I listen to ELO, I'm always like, why have I gone this long without listening to ELO? You know, and I've got a playlist that is just my favorites. But that day that I was listening to it for Christopher all day, there was a playlist on Spotify that someone else had made, and it was like ELO, like deep cuts, whatever. And I played that, and there was a few on there that I hadn't heard in a real long time. I can't think of the names of them because I'm bad with names.
But it did. You'll go back and be like looking for that song later.
For sure, yeah.
I did too. I found a couple
ELO,
of
man.
I forgot about.
That stuff is great. I really love
I always
it.
think about the Xanadu ELO.
Oh yeah.
You know, those kind of tracks were out of the blue, but
I love
like
the theatrical ones. It just feels like you're watching a musical. You know.
I downloaded like 13 albums for him, so I had this massive playlist that I never listened to.
Yeah.
And then that day it was like all day long.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I was just like, there's some great cuts in here. What was I doing?
Yeah. Amazing. Like I said, every time I re-listen to it, and a few months will go by, and I'll listen to it for hours because it's amazing. Telephone Line is one that I always love a lot.
Haggis isn't a food; it's a punishment. Thank you, Gyra. All right, yeah. Please, if you don't like stomach
Bloody
lining,
meat, right? Is that the
let's see. There's a place called the Oven or something. What is that, Mojo? What was that in reference to? I haven't tried it myself. I'm not that keen on it. Yeah, let's stuff something in a sheep's bladder. That's fun. And then let's call it food.
Yeah.
You know what? There's a lot of things around the world that I thought it was just basically they were playing a game like, can we get an idiot to eat this? It's like we're going to take the finest meal and we're going to shove it in a stomach of an animal.
Yeah.
And we're still going to see if we can get somebody to eat it. He did? Yes.
Texture is always.
And because the one guy that they got to eat it was Scottish, now it's a Scottish thing.
Scottish, yeah.
Yeah, like people in Scotland are like, we don't have haggis here.
Yeah. I will try new stuff, man. I will try whatever.
Oh, the English Oven. Was that the name
The
of the
English
place?
Oven. That may have been it. That sounds super familiar. Yeah.
They had some English.
The English Oven. Yeah, they were like in a little shopping center. I remember they had like a big British flag hanging up. Of course, I think it was like 2 guys that ran it.
What's the most amount of time you get away from people?
Like alone time?
Yeah, like girlfriend, family, job, everybody's taken care of.
On my days off, I have weekdays off because I work weekends. So like Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, while the kids are at school, I get a good chunk of alone time.
Jim's Coney Island? Like what? Like how do you feel it?
Oh, how do I feel it?
Yeah, like if I had free time, I'd go straight to Jim's and have a gyro.
I go to Fuji a lot. A lot of my loved ones don't like sushi, so I'll go eat sushi alone. At Fuji is my favorite place. I love
Over in the Raw.
I haven't been to In the Raw, to be honest.
I never went there because I worked for the owner, so I did Fuji because I didn't.
Yeah, Fuji Chef Nobu came to Channel 2 many years ago. We used to on our midday show we'd have local chefs come on, and he was great on the air. He was always really fun, and I never tried sushi before. And he made this big spread, and after the show, we would all go into Studio B and eat, and he would just make things for us, And he heard I hadn't tried sushi, and he was like, I got something just for you, and whipped it up, and I tried it, and I was hooked ever since. So I've been loyal to him.
I can do the seafood.
Yeah.
It's the California stuff. It's the stuff with like big chunks of avocado in it with seafood. I don't like avocado and seafood together.
Yeah.
So like the Nippon roll, that's all like seafood and rice, and I'm real good with that.
Yeah. I like Sushi Train too.
How far would you go? Love's Truck Stop Sushi. Would you go that far for sushi?
No.
Reese's.
They
They got a guy that prepares it up till 3 in the afternoon. So if you buy it after that, it's not really fresh. But
I've never had it from Meester's. I have bought sushi from Whole Foods, but that's pretty safe.
Yeah,
it's not, you know.
Other than the person who smells like garlic that's touched your food.
Yeah, no, I've never touched. I'll eat Quick Trip food all day. If Quick Trip had sushi, I'd probably eat it. I'm not loyalist to Quick Trip.
Oh man.
But no, I've never had gas station sushi.
Dutch oven. Wait, what was that? Oh no. That's a whole different type of food. No. We're not having a Dutch oven. Let's see. Has a female loved one ever given you food poisoning? Wow, Guyver, that's a very specific question. Guyver from Lincolnshire in the UK wanted to know if someone loved you enough to poison you.
No, never had. I don't think I've ever had food poisoning. Certainly not intentional trying to kill me food poisoning. No, this is a stomach that can handle just about anything.
Oh, he had a follow up to that.
Oh, okay.
Apparently the wife cooked tonight and he feels like crap.
Oh no. Good luck to you.
I hope there's an A&E close in Lincolnshire. Just when I think I cannot possibly like you more. Oh, good. You guys are getting along. That's fantastic. Oh, and they say Fuji rocks.
Oh yeah, right on.
Okay. So this is kind of how we close it out.
All right.
Did you ever go to News Junkie?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how we would do. We'd pull a person from the audience and all of us give a chance to riff.
Oh yeah.
We'd guess their name, where they were from, and a secret that nobody knows about them, right?
Yeah.
So that's how we kind of tie up the show these days.
Okay.
If you saw you for the first time across the street, headband, T-shirt, big smile, what do you think that guy's name is?
What do I think the guy's name is?
Yeah.
That guy's name is Fubsy McChubberson. Yeah, 100%. The guy is a cartoon character come to life. That is Fubsy McChubberson. Like tuba music plays when he walks. Boom, 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 you know? And he's just like bouncing around, just oblivious to everything around him. Just having a great time. Yeah.
Come on, puppies. Come on. They're not gonna be happy unless they get to see both
That's
of
right.
you.
They gotta need some screen time.
The dog that we had before the puppies that got killed this summer.
Oh,
we had. He would come and sit right here every episode.
Nice.
So we used to have this little bet going. Mojo would tell me. My sister's one of the people that are asking questions and viewing and stuff, and she used to be like, she would always tell me that she could tell how good the guest was going to be by how long Oliver would stay in the chair, because sometimes he would just sit here and the show would start and he would just fuck off. He would be gone and and those people generally weren't great interviews. No, I'm kidding. Everybody's great interviews. But there's like 6 interviews that Oliver hasn't been a part of, and it's like, would Oliver have liked that guy?
I think he would have loved me.
Yeah, I know you, but I'm just like, there's been a few in there, like, Oliver would have bit that guy. All right, Chubby McChubberson's over there across the street.
Fubsy McChubberson. Yeah.
Fubsy McChubberson, I'm sorry.
Get it right. Get his name right.
Fubsy McChubberson, you see him across the street there. Lovable fella, tuba music playing.
Tuba music.
Where do you think he's from?
Where's he from?
Yeah.
That man is from Hooker, Oklahoma. Yep, he's the largest man that's ever come out of Hooker, Oklahoma.
Hooker, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Is that down from Horse House? Okay, and the final question. Fubsy McChubberson from Hooker, Oklahoma. What's a secret that no one knows about him?
A secret that no one knows about him.
He's really bulimic.
Is he runs a zine all about Destiny's Child. It's a Destiny's Child fan fiction, Destiny's Child poetry. It's a straight up like nerdy zine. It's just all about Beyonce's first band. Yeah.
Well, and the thing about it is, everybody in that group hates Beyonce. They're all Kelly Rowland fans. They're all Kelly Rowland fans. They all think Kelly Rowland should have went on and married Jay-Z and had a career.
That's the fan fiction. Yeah.
TJ Clark.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
man.
being here.
Thanks for having me on.
The video for this will be up tomorrow on YouTube if you missed it. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to let TJ rage the fridge. I'm going to kick him the fuck out like we do everybody. But we'll come back, and we're still beta testing Call of Duty Modern Warfare tonight for a little bit. Give me a minute. We'll come back. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll be right back. And then we stare at the camera. And this is where I usually cut it.